heart into something gold. Knew I sold my soul to the devil long ago. I rode it all along on your way right before it broke. Time was thrown down the well, so I let you go. What I do right now. What I do right now for you, for you. Carolina skies in the night, floating by your side. I fell up when you fell down, but we stayed in flight. I'm laughing to myself, cause I know that I can't deny. I can't find what you can't hide right inside my mind. What I do right now. What I do right now for you, for you. I've been working part-time jobs, chasing all my dreams now lately. No matter if I try too hard, nothing's ever enough, baby. No, I don't care too much. I don't care too much. As long as I can keep you by my side. I don't care too much. We got time, no rush. In your eyes I always see there is something meant for me. In your eyes I always feel different. Tell me everything's alright. Life is just a bunch of faces, and if it's not, we'll still be fine. I know we're going places. I don't care too much. I don't care too much. As long as I can keep you by my side. I don't care too much. We got time, no rush. In your eyes I always see there is something meant for me. In your eyes I always feel different. In your eyes I always see there is something meant for me. In your eyes I always feel different. I was dancing on my own when you spilled that rum and coke on my t-shirt. Yeah, your eyes made it difficult to get my baby. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high pitch feel, baby. We shared a cigarette by East Versailles. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby you make me feel something. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high pitch feel, baby. We shared a cigarette by East Versailles. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby you make me feel something.
body to the sound of the tuba. Body to the sound of the tuba.
Said I'd find a way to turn my heart into something gold. Knew I sold my soul to the devil long ago. I rode it all along on your wave right before it broke. Time was thrown down the well, so I let you go. What I do right now. What I do right now for you, for
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Wir arbeiten schon viel. Und das darf auch sein. Es gehört halt auch dazu. Aber die Technik schafft heute auch viel. Immer mehr sogar. Die Luftfeuchtigkeit passt. Die Stauatmosphäre stimmt. Und wenn die Technik immer mehr schafft, könnten wir ja zwischendurch ein Kehr weniger krampfen. Oder etwa nicht?
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dear fans of the Swisscom Hero League here, powered by ESL. We're back with League of Legends, and when it comes to League of Legends, one guy cannot be thought without, and it's the legend himself, the man with all the three Fs. It's Carlo Chef Züger right next to me here. Good evening, how are you doing, mate?
Good evening, mate. I'm super hyped for these first games that we're gonna see of the third season of the Swisscom Hero League. I hope we will see much action, and I'm very hyped to see again have a season going. Yeah, I mean, you already had other games that you casted, but for me, it's the first
Yeah, and we got
day in the
quite the
season, so
packed
I'm very
schedule
hyped.
actually, especially when it comes to League here, because we're gonna be streaming today, tomorrow, and then next week. It's actually gonna be 4 full stream evenings, being Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, to go through all the way until the semifinals and already find out who our finalists are going to be, who are then competing on the 2nd of May for a total prize pool of 5,000 Swiss francs. And yeah, I'm personally super excited. You might have realized a little something. We're both casting from the comfort of our own home, actually our bedrooms. Yeah, we've also been a little affected by the whole corona crisis. The ones who tuned in for Clash Royale before have already seen that. After week 1 there, we decided to abandon our beautiful studio in Bern and moved to a remote setup, just like all the other leagues basically are doing currently besides the LPL. Yeah, and with that, we still hope we can give you some great entertainment to make your stay at home and your little isolation that might come to not an end, but might be a little bit loosened soon, as we've heard today. But enough about Corona and more about League of Legends. Let's actually have a look what we're gonna be seeing tonight. And it's going to be the duel between My Insanity Madhouse and Flame Esports. You might think these teams look familiar. We've had them both last season, but their lineup has changed quite a bit. What can you tell us about that, Chef?
We will look at the lineup later. I would rather
Good
talk
idea.
about how they got into. I mean, My Insanity was a finalist of last season, got second place, which is really good since we had Postfinance Helix last season still playing, which was the only professional team in Switzerland. This year they don't exist anymore. The project got abandoned, and now there are only semi-professional teams. So I have high expectations of My Insanity and what they can show us. On the other hand, Flame Esport qualified through the through the qualifier, and I'm really interested in how they can
Let's
match
actually
up
have a
against
quick
My
look at
Insanity.
the entire bracket we got coming up for this and of course next week. I have to correct you a little bit there. They got second, but in season 1 actually, and then they're nearly the entire roster switched to Silent Gaming. No, the other way around. They were at Silent Gaming in the first season, switched to My Insanity for second season, where they then got beaten by the new roster from Silent Gaming, who made their way into the finals. Here we have the complete lineup, actually, the complete lineup before us. All or at least half the teams here, they had to make their way through qualifiers, which we held around 1.5 weeks ago, where they could qualify for a cup for all the 8 open spots that we had remaining, and they already played their round of 16 this past week to actually make their way to these quarterfinals here. And a little fun fact, there have only been 2-0 victories. So all of the teams you see here before your eyes, they came in with a clean sweep, and those teams are My Insanity Madhouse, Flame Esports, Silent Gaming, Fragbox Gaming, Lausanne Esports, Scythe of Seraph, Arctic Gaming, and Recast Gaming. All those 8 teams, they're gonna be competing for, first of all, a spot in the semifinals that will be coming up in a week from now, and then of course for the grand prize in the finals coming up on the 2nd of May. You already teased it a little bit, Chef. Let's actually have a look here at the two teams that are going to be competing tonight and at their lineup that has changed quite a bit, if I may say so. So let's actually pull that up here on screen and let's have a look all over these players. First of all, we have Mindsanity.
Yeah, in My Insanity we have on the top lane Seozer. In the jungle we have Konzi. Mid lane still Lagili. And bot lane we have Golden God together with Hervey as
and
his
I think
support.
Seozer, he's been a staple in this team for quite a while. He had to take let's say a little backseat last season as only a substitute player, but he's now in the main roster yet again. Logley, of course, a player with a very long history in the Swiss esports scene when it comes to League of Legends. Definitely a fantastic player when it comes to coordination and macro play. And then the bot lane with the likes of Huffy and Golden God that have done quite a bit of work already last season. Especially Golden God being currently one of only two, if I believe, challenger players that we currently have here on Switzerland. Konzi, gotta be honest, I don't know too much about him. Have you seen or met him before?
I've never heard of Konzi, but I hope that he can show up in this game. And as we are at home, we can use the magic of internet, and I can reassure you, Golden God is one of 3 Swiss players we have in Challenger. The first, I just wanted to point out, Pride is the brother of Lagili, and he got lucky enough to, he is skilled enough that he got picked up by Fnatic Rising, the academy team of Fnatic, and is playing there, which is phenomenal for him. And maybe he could teach Lagili some tips and tricks that he can use with his team to dominate the Swiss scene. I'm very interested to see what he can show
for
us.
some exercises to improve his Rumble or Yorick's even further. I'm actually really curious what we're gonna be seeing. They even have quite a strong substitute in 7 Army, a German player that has been in the scene for quite a while and which they also used to secure their spot here in the quarterfinals. And yeah, that's actually quite a stacked roster here, and I'm curious what we're gonna be seeing from them. But let's actually have a look here at what's Flame gonna be bringing to the table. It's gonna be Garp here in the top lane, Hatred in the jungle, Unleash in the mid lane for basically El Clasico here between Lagili and Unleash, and then Punchy and Kaionic aka Luna in the bot lane. So quite a spicy lineup as well. What do you think of them?
Yeah, I mean, Unleash, Punchy, and Kaionic, these are all names that we already casted and we have already seen in previous seasons, and they often were very stable players, and they, especially Kaionic, was just I think he was like a joker, like a wild card. He sometimes just showed up and made some real important plays from that support position. And Unleash, I mean, it's already in his name. He is famous for Syndra playing Syndra, and Syndra is very strong at the moment. I don't know.
Besides some interesting new home guard and the XP changes when it comes to solo kills, the jungle XP was also changed, now granting even more XP after level 9. And a power farmer like Karthus certainly benefits of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he surely wants to hit level 11 as fast as possible, just to have the Requiem on level 2, because it's such a high impact ultimate. But we have the draft back up again, and we
Okay.
are looking for the second ban, which is Syndra. Yeah, as we said, unleash. You don't want to
Okay,
let
and I
him
actually
get
just
that
realized Mind
Syndra.
Sanity Madhouse is playing with a 7 army instead of Hatred. So interesting adaptation there, but they don't. They neither want to give. They don't want to give him the Karthus either. Syndra ban, no big surprise, and Flame here's just flat out targeting the champ pool of Golden God here, taking the MF out of the pool, taking the freshly nerfed Kalista out as well. And my Insanity, on the other hand, bans the Varus, and there's the Ezreal ban to follow it up. So there are not that too many AD carries yet remaining.
Yeah, I'm super interested. Aphelios was a very strong pick, but he got again nerfed, so I don't know if we are gonna see him again. Saya popped up more recently, so
I'd see.
and she got a little buff right now, right in this patch, so I can see
Okay.
her getting
I was just
through
about
the
to
pick
say.
ban.
I was just about to
or
say I
we
could
see an
really see
Aphelios.
Zaira Khan now coming out here from Flame, but they actually decide to go for the Aphelios in combination with that Thresh. Thresh certainly a good champion here for Kionic to make these flashy plays on. Aphelios, I gotta say, I'm a little bit critical about that champion because, like, just looking at the win rates in the LEC playoffs, they're actually quite terrible, if I may say so. He has still a high presence, but he only sports a 21% win rate. And there is the Zaira Khan here coming out of the Mind Sanity Madhouse here. Very, very solid to pick that up here for the bot lane.
Yeah, and my Insanity also has Lee Sin, a very strong jungler, and he has the potential to just 1v1 early game. The other jungler, depending on what it is, if it's Olaf, it's maybe a little bit a different story. But against many jungler, he can look for the 1v1, and with the XP changes,
really
that
love
could even boost
how
him.
they're picking up the victor here on the side of Flame. He's just coming back so much into the meta. We've seen quite a surge in these control mages in the mid lane, besides the Syndra, with the likes of Orianna, Victor, and the like. So I expected them here to actually target Lagli here, maybe with an Anivia, and then of course the Orianna ban to just limit his champion pool and keep their counter pick for the top lane open here possibly. Mind Sanity Madhouse here decides to go with the Wukong ban. There's the Ori ban. I was already doubting whether my script I got here is wrong. Wukong ban there, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted maybe leaving the Anivia open just to taunt Lageli a little bit. I mean, Anivia is not the strongest champ, but with the proficiency that Lageli has on this champion, it's always a possibility for him to pick it. But the last ban will be Renekton, and now Flame is looking for their fourth
still
pick.
Open here in this draft. I don't know if Seozer wants to pick that up. Seozer still can go for that Rumble he's so famous for. Also the Urgot, one of the champs he really likes to play, got a small buff this patch, but by the looks of it he also picked up the set recently, sorry, and can also play the Zac in the top lane. The Urgot is being hovered here, but it looks like they maybe want to go for some more peel here for Golden God. It's gonna be the 3 himself there for Seozer, and the Anivia is being hovered. Is it actually gonna be the 6 instead? Or Cassio? That's always a possibility here for Ugly.
Yeah, I mean, my Insanity right now lacks very much AP damage, so they really would profit from getting some AP, and 6 it is that he can dish out very much damage from a very good range, so I personally like him very
Okay.
much. He can
And
just
there is the
throw
set
out these
into
bombs
that tank matchup.
24/7.
You can just go for that freely, and it's not going to be an easy lane here for Sioser, especially once the set manages to pick up that blade of the Ruin King, and then Golden God always has to be with the trigger finger over his ultimate, and they have to keep their flanks worded super well. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a bad time for him. I gotta say, in terms of drafts, it's not bad for either of the teams, but I personally really love the approach here from Flame. Getting Kionic on a playmaking support, such as
Yeah.
Thresh, letting Punchy just scale on that Aphelios, even though he has only lethality now instead of percent armor penetration. Victor, who's just great in the late game, the set for the flanks, and then of course the Jarvan, who's gonna be super crucial into that Saya, because while you can dodge a lot of damage and CC with her ultimate, you cannot dodge the terrain that Jarvan is creating with his Cataclysm.
Yeah, it's super annoying if you get ulted by J4 as Xayah, because yeah, you can ult to mitigate the damage that comes in immediately, but without the flash you're not getting out of the Cataclysm, and then you have to deal with that situation. There is not really something someone on his team can do. I mean, Maokai can engage to just distract the enemy team, but I also like the draft from Flane a little bit more. I'm interested to see what Unleash can do on Victor. He also got more popular in recently. He scales very well, but he still has the problem with his Hex Core upgrades. And Lee Sin is a jungler that could very well punish that pretty well. And if Victor doesn't get the right back timing for especially the first Hex Core upgrade, which is 1150 gold, he's not having a very pleasant time.
You hate when you have to recall early due to a gank as the Victor, and then just like pick up maybe a second Doran's ring and like a dark seal or something. That just makes you feel bad. You really want to get that Hex Core early to enable your wave clear. And there we actually are in the game already. Let's actually have a quick stroll through the runes and masteries. I personally like that Golden God decides to go with the exhaust instead of running the heal against this lockdown team, and for the like of Zed, so he can deny him a little bit there. We don't see too much out of the ordinary. Punchy running the Conqueror here on the Aphelios. It's basically what we've seen for getting the most of the popularity. There were times where you'd press the attack on the Aphelios, but I think especially in this setup, it makes sense since you just want to scale, and that healing can come in clutch in the late game.
Yeah, sure. And it's no, yeah, as you already said, it's the standard rune for Aphelios right now. Both teams, both junglers are starting on the bot side, both bot lanes are helping. That should give both teams enough information to know where the enemy started. And yeah, as I said already, I'm super interested in the bot lane matchup. I'm interested if Cryonic will look for early poke, but I mean, Xayah Khan is a very strong lane. I don't think he can engage into that, but they are already doing some work in the bot lane. They are getting the minion advantage,
Oh,
and
the 7
now
army
we'll have
coming in
level 2
with
pressure,
that
but
level
maybe
early
it's just
level
a bait.
2 gank attempt here. Will he make his way down? Yeah, Punchy and Kionic, they're hitting their level 2, but it has been a bait. Punchy has to burn the flash here. 7 Arnie gets in, nice play there out of Kionic. Huffy and Golden God are still level 1, they cannot ding the level up yet, and Punchy and Kionic actually get out fine, but had to burn their flashes, and in the case of Aphelios, the exhaust as well. Meanwhile, Hatred looking for a counter gank in the top lane here and burns Seozer's flash as well. So he might be coming back here to look for another gank here. And yeah, so far a little advantage for MYI here in the bot lane. Nice face breaker there in the top. And there's the knockup from Hatred. There's the haymaker coming out from Garb. Aftershock being procced here from Seozer, and they have to walk away from this. No kill going over yet to the side of Flame here, but they could certainly maybe get a turret plating here, but just decide to back off here, go for some vision, and maybe go for that scuttle crab down there. Meanwhile, Seozer already had to use his teleport, so that top lane is super vulnerable now.
Yeah, but really well played from Seozer to get out there.
Ooh, Heavy, Kionic going really low. First blood over to Golden God, but Punchy gets the kill back in return here onto their support. So support versus support traded here in the bot lane. But yeah, My Insanity Madhouse, they get the first blood here and onto Golden God of all players. So definitely going the way they wanted to, but certainly nice here for Flame that they managed to get the kill back here. Hatred now maybe looking for a gank in the bot lane here, but decides probably if recall here, no. He still makes his way down. No vision there being spotted. Golden God smells that something might be fishy here. Flame actually has the advantage here in terms of vision. Kion now with a nice up there onto Golden God. The TP being channeled. Golden God goes really low there. Can activate his feathers though. And Kionic goes down here to a nice TP here from Luckily. Unleash follows now with teleport of himself. But that's another kill over to the Saya here in the bot lane. Yeah, things are going south a little bit fast here. Unleash now with the Hex. Take stun field here against 7 Army.
Yeah, really well played from My Insanity. The fast teleport in from Luckily turned that engage, and we can look at it again. First we see the first kill that got down. Huffy got hooked, but then decides to engage, sees an opportunity, and Kionic just can't get out of the feathers. Luckily Punchy can get in range for the trade kill, but can't go any further. Really well played from both teams, and really bold decision from Huffy to just decide, well, the death sentence now is on cooldown.
Also
Let's
a little
engage.
bit greedy here maybe out of Kionic, that he went in there with his Aftershock being on cooldown there, if I'm not mistaken. But he got a fantastic lantern in to get Punchy in range to secure that kill there on the back end. And yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna see another replay from the second kill here. Kionic stepping forward aggressively here again, but Huffy goes in with the grand entrance yet again. Kionic falling really low here. Jarvan is in there with his flag. There's the root onto Punchy, but he can get a lot of health back here. Huffy actually falls to Hatred here. 7 Army also dropping lower and lower. Another knock up there onto Gold God. That's gonna be the death sentence, and to the death chamber he goes. 7 Army has to flash out, and that's exactly what we're looking for in this bot lane matchup here. Fantastically played here from Flame, and especially Kionic in that situation.
What a long drawn out 3v3, but Flame getting out on top on that 3v3. They are trading 2 for 0, and Hatred is getting another skull crab. I think 7 Army hasn't seen one yet, and that's a super important advantage for Hatred. You see, he's already level 5 now, hitting level 6, and 7 Army is still stuck on level 4. So I think that Hatred has really a good early game he's enjoying these bot lane fights, and they are now
Yeah, it
starting to
certainly
go
looks
in the
like
way
it.
of Flame.
Those scuttle crabs, they seem to get rarer and rarer. I don't know. Maybe they've all brought over to Valorant, where you can see them like dead in a crate. Maybe that's why they're an endangered species now, and Hatred's not helping the case whatsoever. I really like how aggressive Kionic really here is positioning, and Seven Armies just permanent, like he just has to sit bot lane at this point, and Hatred just waiting in the wings for My Insanity Madhouse to make any move here onto the duo of Punchy and Kionic here. They have the wave pushing against them yet again, and can essentially just force them forward here. Look at Hatred, he's just chilling there, he's having a good time, and he has his ulti. There is the Cataclysm coming down. Kionic actually falling low. Hatred there just falling down to the Saya burst. That's 2 kills over to My Insanity Madhouse, and that's certainly not what Flame was expecting here. There's the Dragon Rage coming out from 7 Army. Punchy can flash away here last second, and that's 2 kills yet again over to the side of My Insanity Madhouse, but the Saya only picking up one of them.
Man, this bot lane matchup is super interesting. Always a 3v3, both teams calling down their jungler. And well played from My Insanity. They smelt that J4 must be there.
Look at it.
And
Aggressive
we
flash.
can look at it again. Super aggressive from the bot lane and the jungler
Nature
from
just melts there.
Flame. But very well played. Herfy knocks up both. And 7 Army
Sonic
just
wave
comes
here
in
connecting.
and dishes out so much damage with Golden God together, and it's not quite enough to get Punchy too, but in the meantime Flame at least could get
and so far
a
on the
cloud
rest
break
of the
for
map, like
themselves.
mid lane is really even, but I think when you're on leash on that Victor, you're just fine farming away and just going for your item spike. My Insanity actually decided to rotate their bot lane up top for a possible Shelly play here in the top lane. 7 Army just picking that up here, but Kionic spots him there. Hatred on the red buff, and they might just look to answer that, but Aphelios is bot lane. Just Kionic here being in the top, and Garb on that set. He's getting pressured out quite a bit here. 7 Army lands the Sonic Wave there, but decides not to go in yet. They have the Herald here, and could be looking for a first turret here to force that, but with Kionic being up there, it seems like they think otherwise and tame themselves a little longer.
I mean, they are not in a rush. The first Herald, you wanna use it on platings especially, but you also have a 6,
Yep.
so you can also go onto his lane and just use the Herald, and 6 can then, with his satchel charge, he can destroy a tower with 1.5 platings left, so you can also try to get a tower low enough that he can just execute that tower, and that's a very strong play, but My Insanity is just
Siozu there
waiting
going in
for the
with the
moment
Twisted
and
Advance.
are
but
looking.
No harm being done there otherwise. Kionic clearing out the ward. Unleash going really low to the Mega Inferno Bomb there. Rakan jumping in there. Herfy going in with the quickness. He gets hooked up and gets just taken out there. Hatred falling, but Punchy now with a lot of damage onto Siozu there. 7 Army nearly falling to Garb here, and he's a scary Birdman there running behind them and has to get out here. But overall, just a 1-for-0 trade here for My Insanity Madhouse here, taking down Hatred. There's another TP. Now Herald being summoned in the mid lane, as you predicted there. Will just make his charge onto that mid lane turret, but it will not be enough with the satchel charge. No. You need a little more damage on that.
That was interesting calculation from Luckily, but I mean, you can try it. Maybe they buffed Session Charge and
yeah. I
didn't
mean, you never
announce
know.
it in
There's
the
like a
patch
bug or
notes.
something. But it's actually just the CS numbers tell quite the story. I mean, Saya now being up about 20 CS here over the Aphelios, but both of them rather low when it comes to the CS, just due to the fact that there was so much action down in that bottom lane there, and they were both either dead or had to reset after another fight.
Yeah, but I still think my Insanity is coming on out ahead pretty much. It just feels like Flame is running behind on the plays that my Insanity are setting up, and Flame is trying to do their best, but it's always they are
Oh,
always
okay.
a
No
little
bombs
bit
there hitting
behind on
onto
the play.
Unleash.
And Unleash now stepping forward for that ward, dropping real low, but at least he could dodge the Mega Inferno bomb.
Ionic now
Otherwise,
baiting
that
into
would
Lee Sin,
have
but
looked
nice
quite
Dragon's
different.
Rage. They're
Oh,
getting him rather low. Luckily doesn't have his Mega Inferno bomb anymore, so he can try to secure the kill here onto Ionic, but he gets really low there quickly. And Golden God and Heavy now doing quite a bit of damage to that top lane turret now. That should be first turret here going down, and a whopping 4 platings or so that went over to Golden God. They will actually give him the solo gold here, just to ensure that he's as fed as humanly possible. You saw it there on the screen, 610 gold right into the pocket of the Zaya. You definitely don't say no to that.
I really would like to look at the gold here. I think Golden God is really ahead. Yeah, look at this, 2200 gold ahead of Punchy. This man is super fat and could now just recall and could buy. I think he's like an item ahead. If we can switch back, we can see what he bought. But I mean, this guy is super fat,
Yeah,
even
that
though
was
he didn't
probably
pick up
already
much
his
farm.
Essence Weaver completed here, and the BF sword on top of that even. So, and meanwhile Aphelios just had to go for those early Berserker Griefs and the pickaxe. So, not really what you're looking for. And my Insanity Madhouse now going onto the dragon here. It was kind of okay for them early, but then things just really turned sideways for them. So now they kind of have to rely on some magic here from Garb, but Unleash here just falling down, getting taken out by Golden God and Heavy. The quickness there with the Grand Entrance, just no chance for him whatsoever to escape that.
Yeah, I mean, Unleash at least already finished his hex core upgrades, but against
Seoser now, nice showstopper there,
pocket,
coming in, now the
much.
face breaker there to pull him out, haymaker there onto him. You see Garb is already dealing quite a bit of damage here with that Blade of the Ruin King being completed. Golden God in the meantime, he don't care. He's like, yeah, well, we don't care for the Waldsterben, we just go and take down another tower there for us. Hatred now trying another gank attempt there onto Seoser, misses the knock up there. Ionic comes in with the flay, there's the Mega Inferno bomb, but Garb secured that kill here. Meanwhile, Hatred actually dropped super low there in that top lane action, and they actually don't manage to get any further because the bot lane here of My Insanity could already reset and rotate up to the top side, and they're just looking for a second Herald here.
And again, it's the point that I already mentioned before. Flame feels like they are just a little bit behind. They are setting up a top lane play, but in the meantime they lose the outer turret bot lane, and Seoser can absorb so much pressure and survives for so long that Flame can just get the kill and not more. So my Insanity still wins out in that trade, and they still can just feed all the gold to Golden God, and this man will just
Yeah, but
1v9
that's
carry with that
exactly
damage that
what
he
we've
can build
seen
up.
times and times again of the teams that that Golden God is on. They just play super bot centered, and other teams, they realized, especially after the first season, they started pressuring that bot lane a lot more, but then you always have the backup or of like a Lageli who never hesitates to just push out his lane and look for a TP, or just a roam to the bot lane to just not essentially to pick up kills, but just to generate more pressure and alleviate some from his AD carry. There's actually another Herald now being spawned here by 7 Army just across the wall here.
Oh, that satchel charge again pretty early,
Oh.
but doesn't matter. The Herald still just gonna.
Meanwhile,
Oh, he doesn't even
they
get the
just
charge
bullying
through. Meanwhile,
Xioza
in the
here
bot
on
lane,
the Maokai. But they actually...
yeah, but I mean they are losing an inhibitor to mid lane. Flame can't really do
But look,
anything about
super
that.
smart here,
Mind
Flame.
Sanity. I
Yeah.
think they don't want the inhibitor
Yes,
to go
very
down, but
nicely
Flame
played.
wants it to go down,
Super
so they
well
can
played
pick
there.
up more
Yeah.
gold.
Interesting,
Pretty
very great play there. For
interesting.
those of you who don't know, it can actually be quite detrimental if you get an inhib down too early and then can't follow it up and end the game within the next couple of minutes, because with those super minions spawning then in the mid lane, the wave just automatically pushes towards your enemy, and with that, your enemies essentially get free farm in that mid while you lose everything to your super creeps, and that's why MYI tried to not take down the inhib here, but Flame actually answered that perfectly well, just basically ignoring Shirley there and letting her take down that inhib before they then sent her to the grave.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't have taken the inner turret so fast,
True.
because Shelly didn't get the charge through for that. And that was maybe the thing that would have changed this play, but I mean, Mind Sanity still so far ahead. I mean, maybe they can even end that game in the next minutes. They are very strong. They are now setting up on the bot side of the map, maybe are trying to follow up on a bot lane push to get another inhib down. And if they could manage to do that, then the mid lane
Yeah.
inhib
And I
wouldn't
mean,
be
we've looked a bit at the
problem.
games that these teams played to get into the quarterfinals here, and actually the longest game we've seen out of both of them was like 26 minutes, and this just looks to be like another super fast game yet again. It's gonna be...
What the no, Laggerly, please, just wait a little bit with this satchel
Patience.
charge.
Patience,
I
young
like to play
Padawan.
things, don't destroy
You
the
have to.
champions for me. But I mean, they are set up to take the dragon
Yeah.
now. It's an Ocean Rift, we didn't mention that yet, but Ocean Rift, the map change is not super impactful, I think. I mean, the bushes are a little bit bigger, but I mean the ocean soul is so super strong, especially for these poke champions that can just deal a little
Ping's
bit
going
of
down
damage and just
onto the
heal
Baron
themselves
here.
up while they are
MYI
poking
just
the enemies
starting out the
down.
Baron here. No hesitation whatsoever. They have full control here. Hervey even eliminates the blast plant here. Hatred, I don't know if he's aware of what's going on there. Baron down to 4k.
Yeah, they saw them, and that's a 50-50.
Oh, 7 Army, what kind of a flash was that?
Oh, was
Oh!
that was a flash from 7
Managed to
Oh,
secure it.
the Baron
Hatred
goes
goes
still
down.
to Mind
Kionic
Sanity.
has to flash away over the wall here, but MYI Madhouse here pick up the Baron at 21 minutes, and yeah, that was quite a quick one, I gotta say.
Yeah, they did the Baron very fast. I mean, Ziggs can reset his passive with his other abilities, which is pretty strong, to take down the Baron. We will see the replay from the Baron. I think Hatred was
I think
pretty
7
close
Army,
to getting
7
the
Army just
Baron,
tried to
which would have
flash
been
over the wall
detrimental.
here, kick Hatred away.
Oh, 4 HP! Baron was on 4 HP while Hatred was still in
Unlucky
the
there.
pit. That
Unlucky.
was
That could have
super
gone
close.
sideways here for Mainz, and don't get me wrong, but Seoser with the twisted advantage seals the deal here for Punchy and probably for Flame overall. Their heavy gets a beautiful engage again onto Kionic, and with the Baron buff, super minions in the mid lane, that should just be game number 1 here. And yeah, Gold God just throwing out the feathers there just for fun. Garp, ooh, that's a nice haymaker there.
Garp is going
But
in.
Golden God
Huffy
just
is,
stays
Golden
safe
God
in
is
the back.
down.
Yeah,
But
can just
they
flash
still
out
can
of
just
the Cataclysm here. That's game number 1 in just shy of 23 minutes here over to my Insanity Madhouse here. What a game to start off this season.
Yeah, it was somewhat fight heavy, but not even that bloody. I mean, there were some kills, but it was my Insanity just snowballed through it. They just got their bot lane ahead, swapped them to top side, took the first tower top lane, then swapped back bot lane, took the tower there, and they just kept on pressuring these neutral objectives, and they snowballed it very clean. And I don't know, Flame, as I said during the cast, they were always a step behind, and they never could catch up.
I completely agree. I mean, we mentioned it in draft already, like the game plan was kind of there. They also played to it in the early phases of the game, really trying to shut down that bot lane, but Huffy and especially Heavy with some great engages there, and Kionic overstepping once or twice, and with Seven Army just lurking in the river constantly, basically just to ensure that Saya will get and stay ahead after those early kills. Just ensured that they were strong throughout, and then they just had to transition that lead. They did super well. They first rotated to top. The Aphelios stayed bot actually, and then they just managed to push out the wave, get like 4 playthings over to the Saya, including the first turret gold, solo first turret gold, and after that point it just was like felt like a done deal. Then they just rotated their Saya Rakan all over the map, and yeah, the rest is history, kind of.
Yeah, but I would be really interested to know what would have happened if that 3v3 on the bot lane where Jarvan was 1 level up on Lee Sin, if that would have gone the way of Flame,
Yeah.
how the game would have looked then. Because if they traded 2 for 0, my Insanity it is, and after that the game felt like a clean snowball. But until then it was kind of one way
sure.
or the
I
game could have
agree,
gone
but
one way or the
it
other.
was like, yeah, as you said, in the early stages it was like kind of a back and forth. You really saw Flame, they knew what they wanted to do. It didn't quite work, and after that point, like after, what was it, like 12, 13 minutes, it didn't work out, and it looked like they didn't know what to do at all to come back into this. My Insanity played it super well. Garp never got any chance with like a showstopper to get in a flank or something, and yeah, they just faltered and eventually crumbled under all the pressure. So well played here for my Insanity Madhouse in that first game here of season 3 of the Swisscom Hero League here, powered by ESL. And after that first game, we're due for a little break, but it's only going to be about 5 minutes, and then we're already back with game number 2. So stay tuned and see you soon.
Everybody to the sound of the tuba.
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Song, 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 song. Song, 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 song. Song, 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 song. Song, 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 song. Song, sing, song, song, sing, song. Song, 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 song. Do, 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 do.
Wir arbeiten schon viel. Und das darf auch sein. Es gehört halt dazu. Aber die Technik schafft heute auch viel. Immer mehr sogar. Die Luftfeuchtigkeit passt. Die Stauatmosphäre stimmt. Und wenn die Technik immer mehr schafft, könnten wir ja zwischendurch ein Kehr weniger krampfen. Oder etwa nicht?
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
And we are back here for the first day of the Swisscom Hero League, powered by ESL and of course supported by our lovely sponsors Samsung and Omen by HP. And with me still, fortunately, is the one and only Chef here to my left. I'm glad you didn't leave after that first game.
I mean, why should I leave after that game? It was super interesting and we got quite a show. I hope that Flane can show up in the second game so we can have our first matchup that goes the distance. But I don't know, after the first game I would call My Insanity the favorites because they just played it pretty clean,
Yep.
except from these early mishaps.
And
on the
by
bot
the way,
lane where it
one
was back and
more
forth.
small detail. We didn't mention it before the game, but this in that game, Huffy actually had his first death of Season 3. Until then, he was the only player
Oh, yeah.
competing in Season 3 here who didn't have a single death in the first games. Ooh, that is an error message there right on our screen. They're catching us off guard there. With the Garen play there, right out of the bushes. But I'm actually curious how Flame will
Going
adapt
for the
here
memes.
going into that second game. I mean, when you're My Insanity Madhouse here, you can just stick to what works, essentially. I mean, the Zaya Rakan was super strong, in my opinion. I still think Flame should have considered to pick that up in the bot lane when they had the chance to, since they were on red side. Decided against it, so had that power pick over there. The Maokai just was a good pick in terms of that he could just hold his own. I mean, yeah, he got whacked around a bit early, but he got out quite fine, absorbed a lot of pressure from Hatred, and even afterwards, when the set had his Blade of the Ruin King completed, it was essentially already too late for him to impact the game in any way, shape, or form, and then he was just a nice frontliner to have there and to put in front of your Zaya. Meanwhile, Six and Zaya could just fire away. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to go back to the first point you mentioned with the Xayah Rakan. It's such a strong lane that I think you should either pick it up or have something specific prepared for it. And Aphelios Thresh, I didn't feel that was something specifically prepared for that. I think that was just something they felt comfortable with. But I mean, when you have Golden God on the other hand with a Thaya that gets pretty much funneled all the plating gold into her, that's not really a strategy that works. So I hope if they let it through again, that they adapt and pick something intended to stop this lane from snowballing so hard.
I
or
completely
they
agree
just ban
there.
it.
And yeah, was strong and real solid before this, and now she just got a buff to her E, which is essentially just her her early game damage tool and provides her with utility as well. So she's just super strong, and in combination with Rakan, we've seen her being run without the Rakan, so with the likes of like a Thresh or sometimes Nautilus or like a Tom Kench, and out of the side of lane they just didn't really have an answer. I mean, something I could really see them pick up would be like Ashe. She also got a buff this patch, and she's just such a strong utility provider for your team. Or even a Tristana, who also got buffed, and with actually a nice damage buff to her E. When it comes to bans, we're actually just doing a redo basically here of game 1, as it looks like.
I think it's also interesting. Mind Sanity had the side select for the first game, I think, and they chose blue side, even though many teams, I think, consider red side a little bit stronger. And now in the second game, Flame chose red side, which is more or less the standard. And so we are gonna go for the salty rollback, maybe. I mean, the bans are the
now
same.
I want to see the
same.
Okay.
If we see now Aphelios Thresh,
okay,
no,
but we see the
no
Thresh
salty
again,
rollback.
but this time it's the 6. And MYM Madhouse, they can just go for another run at Xayah Rakan here, basically. Will they do it, though?
Yeah, I will just look it up if Punchy plays some 6.
That is true.
6 could be a flex between Unleash and Punchy, but I don't see it in his match history anywhere, so I don't think
Run back it is.
they are gonna put it down. But I think it would be
definitely.
pretty good against
just
Xayah
because you
Rakan.
can clear the wave so efficiently and then just deny him those early platings by the look of it. But now Flame decides to switch it up even more. They're going for the Trundle pick there as their third, and now I expect them to maybe target I don't know. I'm not sure. I think the Rumble and maybe the Urgot even. And then they just pick the Victor up again to get that out of Luckily's hands. Or they could just ban the Orianna once more. I think that would also make sense.
I think they nearly have to get Orianna out.
Okay.
I mean, if you have Lee Sin
maybe they pick it up. They want to pick it up
Rakan
themselves.
already engaging. But then they are starting to lack AD damage. So, I mean, Trundle deals a lot of AD damage, but he's not really you can't really consider him a damage source. I mean, sure, he deals damage, but you don't want to rely on that. And now I think Flame could be in a little bit of a pickle. I'm interested
Yeah,
what
I
they are going for now.
still think, yeah, it's the set.
Ah, yeah, the set. I don't know why set
True.
is going so far in the draft. I I think he's so strong. I don't know how he got
I mean, he was
to the
last
second
pick last
pick
game,
phase
and
in both
there
drafts.
were times when you would just
Yeah.
blind pick set as a first pick essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, he's
Yeah.
on playable on 4 roles. I mean, that already tells how strong he is. But Golden God, or I mean, My Insanity picks up the Malphite. Maybe going for a little Whippo performance, maybe locked in, does emotes,
Ooh.
and just
Full
standing in
on
front of the
wombo
enemy
combo there
backline.
being hovered now by the My Insanity Madhouse. That's a madhouse indeed here with the Oriana being picked up as well. Yeah, something they don't lack is engage here on the side of My Insanity. But also I mean, on Flame, it still looks really strong, especially with the Trundle. You always have to consider when you're up against Trundle and you only have one tank, it can get dicey. It can get really, really dicey because when hatred
Yeah.
subjugates that rock, he won't be a rock. He will be sandstone. He'll just crumble. especially with like an Irelia and the six that
Yeah.
are like going at him, he will just melt, and on top of that, he will have so much armor that he can just tank up the Saya essentially. So I think my MYI has to rely quite a bit on a nice engage here from Sioser in combination with that with those shockwaves coming out from Lagerli.
But
Yeah.
I like My Insanity's draft way more. They have again a very strong bot lane that they can rely on. They have 2 to 3 sources for engage. I mean, even a insect kick from 7 Army could spell doom if it hits punchy. So I think My Insanity has enough setup to get these wombo combos, and Flame, their draft is just
Yes.
like, yeah, we want to go in and fight, but we still have a 6 that is just poking. I don't really see what their goal is as a team,
Well,
but
but I could like
maybe it's just
essentially I
what they
could
needed.
see it working to the extent that you can if you manage like okay, they have to get ahead with that kind of comp. We saw how that worked in game number 1, so they're really pressed to do it now. But if they do, or they, well, even if they manage to go even, they can set up a really nice 1-3-1 here. You just put Irelia and Set in the side lanes, and then you have the Trundle just covering with his pillar in the mid. Meanwhile, Punchy just clears out wave after wave, and they can't essentially engage on them. And with the pillar, you still have like the Trundle pillar in combination with some poke has always been super strong, because it movement, not just in the sense that it goes, but it also creates terrain and like some chokes.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't really see that working out either, because I mean, Sioser, as with his Malphite, can just go on the lane where Irelia is, and she will never be able to dive a Malphite when he's building armor. And I think Logili should also be pretty fine against Garp, or I mean, they could even switch it up. I don't think that they win this game in the 1-3-1. I don't see them winning it in the team fights. The only way I see Flame winning this game is by scrappy fights where they can somehow outplay my Insanity, and especially with the early game lead. With a clean back and forth where they get to a somewhat even state in the mid to late game, I
Yeah, it's certainly
don't
gonna
really
be
see
tough.
hope for
I agree
Flame.
with you there. I'm curious how it's gonna work out here, especially in the early game here. Hatred with a blue buff start here, actually, so he will go towards that top lane rather soon, I'm guessing. Kaihanik already smells the grand entrance here coming down
Oh.
from Heavy with the aftershock. He's kind of okay, but that's a big chunk of health already being taken out of that support right then and there. So well played there yet again from the bot lane of Heavy and Golden God.
Yeah, but I mean that little setback is nothing really. They didn't get meaningful poke. I mean, sure, Kreanik is a little bit lower, but he has 2 pots and a cookie. So if it gets somewhat dicier, he can just take one of these consumables and
Yeah,
be
so
full
they
life in
have
no
the
time.
wave pushed out now, and Trundle is making his way to the top here. Garb has it the lane kind of set up, so it's pushing towards him here. So Hatred has to make his way in here, but it is warded here, as we can see here from Sioser. Facebreaker there coming down. Look at the haymaker there. It's just so much damage there, with the Conqueror also being fully stacked. That set just deals so much damage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just 10
200
years of game design.
200 collective years of experience in game design. Probably the best meme that's come out this year already. I mean, and this year has been full of memes, but 7 Army now comes for Hatred actually. That's something.
ganking his
Oh,
own
nice
jungle.
smite there coming out from Hatred. And
Let's
you
see
don't
who
want
gets
to
the blue buff.
1v1 a Trundle early, because you're definitely gonna lose that there with the attack speed. And between the red buff and those Qs, you're gonna get dropped so fast. That's actually a blue buff steal here, plus the Scuttle Crab on
Yeah.
top of that for Hatred.
Yeah, and that's a 3 buff start for Hatred. So again, as last game, he is pulling ahead in the 1v1 matchup in the jungle. But now he wants to look for a gank in the mid
lands
lane.
the stun
Luckily,
there.
is pretty far pushed
There's
up.
the
gets
pillar,
stunned there.
nice flashing. That's the first blood
And-
over
oh,
to
very
unleash
well
on his
played.
Irelia. That is so crucial here. Flame switching it up and is like, okay, apparently we're not gonna win bot lane, so we're just gonna farm and we're gonna focus on the rest of the map. And Hatred does that really well there. Flash burned, TP also used here by Lagri now, and that leaves him so vulnerable for further ganks here in the mid lane. I mean, Unleash, he still has his flash. He's up quite a bit of XP now. Has the ignite with him, so yeah, he's chilling.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily now had to use TP on level 4, and we didn't mention that yet, but in the patch 10.7, the TP cooldown got level scaling. So that TP is now down for like a little bit less than 7 minutes, and that's a super long time. So yeah, it's like 6.5 minutes down,
Nice.
but bot lane is a
Death
fight.
sentence there onto Heavy. They spot 7 Army as well, who just has to retreat back into his own jungle now. They can push out the wave, it seems here, but Hatred being chunked a bit. Heavy flashing in aggressively there.
Oh.
What an engage there, but the Flay comes in onto 7 Army. There's the death sentence also landing onto him. Nice pillar there out of Hatred. He has to jump away there yet again. Didn't have his flash up, but manages to survive. Nevertheless, meanwhile, Lagili completely whiffing the shockwave here in mid. Thanks to our observer for just catching that right on time here. So Unleash can feel even more safe in that mid lane now that that big cooldown is on. And Flame already has a 1k gold lead here in this matchup, but now Mindset he actually gets to set up a freeze here in the bot lane, it seems. So Punchy will be losing quite a bit of that unless he teleports back.
But yeah, I mean, he at least has TP, but now my Insanity decides to push it. But I thought Flame did a somewhat good adaptation and just picked the lane that doesn't really fight in the early game, but now, but then they still send Trundle bot lane to fight the 3v3.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the decision. I mean, at 6 can poke pretty well, but he's not that great in
Yeah,
a
I mean,
all-out fight.
I get the
early on.
general
So-
idea. You burn the double summoners in mid lane, so Lageli can't TP bot for any engages. Then you focus on the bot lane, but then again, your Irelia does not have the TP, so you have to rely on the 3v3. So far, it went quite okay-ish for the side of lane here. I mean, they're down in farm, but that's mostly due to just Saya being so strong in pressuring early game and that early action from Huffy where they caught the Thresh with the Grand Entrance.
Yeah, sure. But something that we have to start considering is that
Yeah.
Irelia is 20 farm up, got first blood, and Lageli is already pretty much on the back foot here, and then Irelia can also very well shred through a little AD carry, a little bird person. And maybe that's the win condition Flame is looking for. I mean, I'm
I
still
can really
searching
see that.
a
I
win
mean,
condition
just
for
an
them, but
Irelia
that
running
could
over
be
your
one.
ADC. I mean, especially now with the Blade of the Ruin King buffs. Look at this, Flame just making their way down. They're sandwiching Golden God here. Nice death sentence there. Lands onto Huffy though, and Irelia now just jumping in. There's the Mega Inferno bomb there, but Unleash just takes him down with the Ignite there. Huffy also going really
nice.
low there. Shockwave does nothing, just holds them in place essentially, and they can. Yeah, but it just deals
it
no
was a
damage
super good
at
shockwave.
8 minutes.
It hit 3
So
people.
they couldn't turn, and they already lost
Yeah,
Golden God there, who burned double summoners on top of everything. So now you have a 2-0 Irelia that's up 15 farms still. You have a bot lane that's about even at this point, and yeah, at this now you can just run in onto bot lane and try to dive Golden God. Nice flash from him early, but then look at this Unleash with his ultimate just jumping on top of him, and with the Ignite there's absolutely zero chance for him to survive. Luckily here saves Huffy at least with a nicely placed Shockwave.
But there was so many good little plays. Unleash tried to sidestep the Feather Call when the Blade Caller, I mean, when they came back after the Feather Storm. And Huffy jumped into the death sentence to save his AD carry, but it was just not enough. And yeah, this Irelia is gonna be a beast, and
Yeah.
she's going for the Blade of the Rune King early on, which got also pretty recently
And look at
buffed
this.
for melee
Yeah.
champions.
Now this time,
And
with the
that
dragon
could be
being
scary.
down, this time Flame rotates in time to the top lane here, but can they actually contest the Herald? It looks like they decide against it here and just give it up. Although I personally think they could have maybe gone for a fight. They still had the TP up on Garb on the set, but they just decide to give him some platings down in the bot lane. Siozer now waddling his way back down there. Set is also up 20 farm at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, sure, My Insanity got the Herald there, but they need to get a really good Herald play now, because
Look
they
at
lose
Hatred.
two. My Insanity loses
He's
two
already
plates,
there.
bot
He's
lane,
already there.
loses
Heavy.
like 4 waves
Okay,
over the
nice
map.
attempt there with the pillar, but Heavy manages to jump out onto Golden God there. But now they actually can look for a push here. Herald now being summoned in the mid lane here, so luckily should be able to recover a bit with that. Unleash actually gave up quite a bit of farm there, and luckily got 3 platings now. Unleash. But look at that, Garb now
But
just
he's
coming in. He
outpositioned
has the
now.
showstopper
Garb.
here. Luckily trying to turn around here. There's the subjugate onto him, and that's
Oh.
that's just a dead luckily.
Oh, and the
MYI
death sentence.
decides to go in here
No,
with
no,
the
for-
quickness.
okay.
Kionic falling really low here. 7 Army manages to jump back out to safety here, and they manage to get a 1-for-1 trade here overall. Meanwhile, Punchy decides to push in the top turret here. Will he use the satchel charge now? No, he won't. But yeah,
Better
those-
expertise on the satchel charge
looks
uses
like
than
he's
Legally
played
showed us
more
in the last game.
Minesweeper than Lagili did. Golden God and Heavy now stepping aggressively forward there, but I think he'll make it out. Good Herald there overall for Lagili. It was essential for him to just recover, but I think that's nearly the best case here for Flame. It misses, but then Lagili has to use the flash, and it's just caught between 3 enemy players. But then here, super good engage with the quickness and the grand entrance here from Heavy to get back a kill at least onto Kionic.
Yeah, but I mean, the Legally overextended for
Oh,
the Herald.
Lucios are coming in
bot lane
here
and flank.
with the unstoppable force down onto Punchy, and he's a dead Yordle now. Garb TP'd in there actually, and they could be going for the turret down here. Sioser has to back away, and it looks like 7 Army will also go for a recall right now, but they've already rotated their bot lane back to the bot. But this time it works a lot better here for Flame to just contain the Zaya. And yet again, Lagili is going to be the target here. Unleash has so much damage here. Hatred flashing in with the subjugate.
Oh.
Ignite ticking down on him.
Oh, no.
And when you're out of rage, yeah, that was
Oh,
close.
he
But now
survived
TP
so
coming in.
close.
I don't think that's a good idea,
Oh.
honestly. Sioser just jumping in there. But now 7 Army jumping onto Kionic here. Gets ulted out here from Garb. And 7 Army survives yet again. That man is so slippery.
What is happening? These guys are so
Yes.
trigger happy with their teleports. They are just
look at this.
teleporting in
Golden
everywhere
God just going for
where there
play
is a
things again.
fight. And yeah, I mean, Flame did for a long time do a really good job with
Oh,
exactly
Garb.
that. Unleash now
There's the
searching the
Blade's
next
Edge.
fight
The
with Garb
Vanguard's Edge,
together.
I'm sorry, but shut down now onto the Irelia here.
Oh god.
But Garb actually gets the kill back onto Sioser. 7 Army now jumping in, picking up the kill onto the set here. Hatred and Kionic now move back into the mid lane. Turret plating has fallen down. And now it's MYI that's looking for that dragon, and Kionic and Hatred are just luring there in the shadows. Nice Mega Inferno Bomb onto the Lee Sin there, and he gets taken down. Huffy is also really low right now. Golden God will... Oh, not beautiful, that pillar there.
Oh, nice pillar.
Lagili is waiting in the wings. There's the death sentence. Oh my gosh. The amount... It never
God, when
stops.
does the fighting
Never
stop?
stops. But we only had 9 kills so far, so people are still managing to escape right here.
Yeah, but the kill count doesn't match the action that we've seen in this game. There
Oh,
could
Unleash
easily
gets
be
caught out by a shockwave?
double the kills in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Legally still has no damage.
Unleash, he is making his way towards a wit's end at the moment, but as it stands, he's still a bit squishy when it comes to magic damage, at least, and especially
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I
but
was just about to
especially
say.
that Mal fight, he just
We're
shredded through
just
that
being
earlier.
the TFT Pengu emote. Garb has his Blade of the Rune
Yeah.
completed now. Can just be looking to take down the turret right here, but Sioser is making his way to the top here. Will he? Yeah, he manages to scare him off there. He decides, no, I'd rather not deal with a Malphite. But then again, I mean, so far, the game is pretty even. MYI is ahead by about 800 gold. It's not that much, honestly. Maybe we could switch over to the individual gold graphs in a minute here. First turret actually still has not been claimed, but has it? Yeah, it has in mid. Yeah, it has. It has
Yeah,
been
first
claimed.
turret
Never
has
mind.
been claimed in mid lane.
But with that, the gold is actually super even now. Oh, the flawless duet there, perfect.
Oh.
Onto Heavy to just stop him in his tracks. Nicely done by unleash after a bit of a questionable play earlier against that Malphite.
Yeah, yeah, the Malphite it deals a lot of damage, and we didn't mention it yet,
Yeah,
but
true.
he has pressed the attack. He learned from Bwipo, I guess. Bwipo then also went for a Trinity
really?
Force, if I recall correctly. But I mean, with the full armor
That's
build,
true.
you deal also a lot of damage because your E and I think your W2 are both abilities that are scaling with armor. So that's pretty much a
That is
ton of
very
damage
true.
actually that that
But as it stands
Malphite
now, he's
brings
just,
to the
oh
table.
nice, satchel charge there just for the finish. Cooldown guys don't look at explosions, and neither does Punchy there. And yeah, I mean, Seoser, he currently has the Rift Herald in his pocket, so he can look for like a turret maybe in the top lane there, if he catches Garp recalling on time. But as we mentioned earlier, like now coming into the mid and towards the late game here, as the first and especially second items get completed, the Malphite, yes, he's super tanky, but then again, you have the subjugate from Hatred that will just soften him up so much. When it comes to those crucial mid-game fights, especially around objectives, and I think at that point it can get really dicey, especially if Unleash manages to get into the backline, and Garp can follow him up with that. Then it's just gonna be a really hard time there for Golden God, who will then struggle to get out his damage.
Yeah, but I'm also at least Flame picked up
Yeah.
early 2 dragons, so they maybe wanna look for that also for a further win condition it in that dragon soul, and it's a mountain dragon rift or a mountain rift, and the mountain dragon soul would be pretty beneficial for the Flame lineup. I mean, Hatred, Garb, and Unleash would profit so much from the stacking of these drakes, but on the other hand, I don't want to see a Malphite
Ooh,
with
Hatred being
like
caught here
2,
with
3 or
the
even
Grand
4.
Entrance. Has to flash out. Nice quickness there from Heavy. Unleash going down now. Meanwhile, in the top lane, he also summons the Rift Herald and then TPs immediately to the bot lane. Now Flame's team is caught in a real bad place here. Hatred going down as well. And that's 2 swift kills here going over to the likes of the My Insanity Madhouse. Seoser still has his unstoppable force ready. They can still look for a pick here in mid, potentially even a dive. But meanwhile, Garp is pushing in the top lane, managed to take out Shirley here. And now they have to send at least someone to stop him here.
I don't like my insanity. I just was talking about like the about what that game could bring to us, and they are just interrupting me with a full fight, which they win pretty hard. Well played from them, but they don't
No.
get any neutral objective out of this. And the dragon, the third dragon is now up, but first we are gonna look at that replay. It's pretty well played that Hatred is shadowing Unleash, but then he
And
gets
the
caught
flawless duet
face
also
checking for
misses.
vision. Super good
And with
CC
that,
chain.
Unleash just goes down
Yeah,
there to the side.
but
And the Lee Sin. And look at this beautiful garden hose there from Lageli, followed up by that shockwave, and then he just takes down Hatred, who is still quite squishy here if he does not have his ultimate.
But at least now that
Actually,
my Insanity could set up
actually killed Unleash
very good
again.
vision around Dragon as a...
Yep.
Oh, they killed Unleash again. I didn't see that. Thanks you for mentioning that. Well, I mean, my Insanity could place all the, or was able to place all that vision with the play they did earlier that we saw in the replay, and then it's just hard for Flame to get into that dragon area, and my Insanity punished it well and picked up their first dragon, delaying that
Absolutely.
potential
And
dragon
I don't know.
for
I feel
Flame.
like I'm having a deja vu because I think we've had games before where we saw Unleash. I think it was back on Lausanne, wasn't it? Where he was just like having a super strong early game, but then got caught off guard and overextending over and over again, and in the end loses a lot of his advantage to that, and of course in this case also gives over quite a bit of gold to the enemy team here. Meanwhile, MYI is just pressuring top lane yet again, and they're doing such a great job and still funneling Golden God with as much gold as possible. I mean, he's at about 9.5 CS per minute, and will now just get another. Oh, nice flawless duet there onto Heavy. The death sentence missing here. Lageli now making his way in from the side. There's the hose coming out. There's the TP now being channeled. Nice flay there onto Lageli, but Garb now falling really, really low here. He loses his grid now quite quickly, and Flame actually decides to run for the hills here. So overall, they burn their TP. Malphite is still pushing in top bot lane now. That's a bit of a risky back part, guys. Now they go in. Garb with the forward flash there. Gets the flash from Golden God there. Well played. There's the oh wow, there's the Vanguard that's coming out. 7 army now potentially being caught out. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb, and Punchy finally gets a kill onto the board. But Golden God now without his flash, and Heavy manages to jump out after yet another nice quickness here. Golden God manages to finally escape here. This game just never stops with the action. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I don't really see what Flame is getting from that chase down. Sure, they are defending their top lane inner tower, but they would anyways don't lose that. And now they are later on the recall, so they will have to concede all their Baron vision they just set up, and will have to move in again. I'm not sure if they are gonna manage to face check into my Insanity, because they have
probably was
just
a little
so
bit
much
of greed
catch
there.
potential.
I mean, they got the flash out of the Xayah, which is super crucial, especially if we are looking at a potential Baron fight here coming up. And they then probably called just, okay, let's try to get a catch with the pillar and maybe try to run her down. But Huffy did such a great job there with the ultimate, just taunting everyone up and then just escaping out with the battle dance onto the Xayah, which has such a huge range, and manages to get out there yet again. Lageli, meanwhile, doing a good job here and just clearing out those waves over and over. I mean, was his duty this game so far, at least. Just clear out waves and stave off the pressure, and we've actually seen some pretty good shockwaves coming out from him. And now with the Liandry's Torment completed, they start to deal quite a bit of damage as well.
Yeah, and he got pretty much farm now. I mean, look at the farm difference between the bot laners and mid lane also.
Nice shockwave there, Garb being stunned up here, goes down to Lageli there after a nice shockwave there. And with that, it's gonna be a kill over to the My Insanity Madhouse, who are now looking at the 5v4 here. Garb still without his teleport, so they could be looking at a Baron take here.
And that was even without face checking into them. I mean, My Insanity was stepping forward, but still My Insanity wins the fight. They can still catch the enemies. If now My Insanity can get the vision control around Dragon again, they can take the second Drake. And Flame, I don't see how they can contest it. I don't see how they can get into it. But maybe Golden God spots the pink ward or the control ward, but it doesn't clear it. And
Huffy going in with the Grand Entrance there, but he goes low. Hatred now trying to go for the steal here, goes low, and there's the unstoppable force there onto Punchy. He goes down as well, manages to jump away with a nicely placed satchel charge there, actually. Manages to survive that. They trade over 1 kill after Hatred decided to go in for a Dragon Steal attempt, but with that vision, I think MYI, just look at the Baron here with the enemy jungler still being down.
I mean, my Insanity are just rushing to that Drake, and it was a scrappy thing how they did that Drake. But 7 Army kicking out Hatred, he tries to flash back in, but that wall spawned from the mountain rift just blocked him, and he was nearly out of range. 7 Army could secure that Drake. A nice satchel charge from Punchy to get out there, but still Dragon picked up by my Insanity Madhouse, and now, I mean, I don't want to know how much armor this Malphite already has. Look at his item, and then
just look
two
at his health bar.
Drakes on top of that. He has 581 armor. Holy shit! I think that's just hurting very much, and he's not flinching the slightest bit when Garb tries to punch him.
I think it's not a bad idea here to just purely itemize armor, because you really only have the 6 on the side of Flame, and that's the target you want to engage on. So it's just like, okay, meanwhile I want to survive, but now Hatred with his ulti, Pillar there coming in a little late, but with that his armor actually drops quickly. Yes.
He dropped down to 140 armor, but meanwhile my Insanity is starting up that Baron. TP is coming up.
Yep.
But the jungler is not there yet.
Goes down 7 Army. They still continue on the Baron here. There's the TP being channeled from Siozer now. They decide to go in there. Garb gets the ult on down onto Heavy. They pick up the Baron here. But 7 Army now in the backline onto Garb there. Kionic on Punchy all really low on these health bars. Nobody dying so far, but the Baron goes over to a Insanity Madhouse.
How did nobody die there? That was so close. 7 Army was like 1-2 punches away from getting a kill, but then decides to get out himself. But I mean, my Insanity got the Baron, so they came up in that play. But I don't know. Flame now over 4,000 gold behind, and it's getting harder and harder every second.
I think, especially in that fight there, excuse me, I think you'd really see that this Flame roster, they have not been playing together for too long. Because it looked kind of messy. They didn't really know what the priorities are and who to engage on, and it looked like a really scrappy team fight overall. And in the
yeah, but they have to fight scrappy, because if they fight in order, they are just getting one-bar combo. So that's what I said already in draft. You can't fight a clean 5v5 team fight against this many high impact ultimates on my Insanity side.
That part. But still, like, it kind of feels to me like they're running out of options, and they don't really know how they could get back into this game. And Hatred now being hit with the shockwave there, has to be rescued by Kionic there with the Death Passage. And yeah, that's an inhib down in the mid lane again. This time not at 16 minutes, but at 29, 30 minutes. But nevertheless, big advantage now coming in for MYI, and they're up 6,000 gold already.
If I may correct you, it was the Dark Passage, not the Death's Passage. Otherwise, you can also call it the Life's Passage in this in this context. But yeah, the dragon is spawning soon again, and Flame for the first time gets again the chance to set up Vision. But my Insanity could
that beautiful unstoppable force there. But
what
no
a big
follow-up yet,
Malphite
but
ulti.
they're going in now. Garb tanking a lot and tries to go in with the showstopper there. Nice kick there onto Hatred. He's going down pretty fast. Unleash now jumping in, trying to get something in return. There's the hook onto Siozer, but he's a big rock and he does not care a single bit. Punch is just running, he gets the kill onto Heavy at least. That's a triple kill now going over to Golden God, and that, my dear friends, looks like it's gonna be the game. We see the emote there coming out from Punchy. The Sonic Wave lands onto him, and
well
7
played.
Army just says, goodbye, dear 6. We're taking this 2-0 and make our way to the semifinals. And yeah, definitely.
Well played, my
Definitely
Insanity.
well
Played.
played there. Just the sheer execution was so much better this game on the side of the My Insanity Madhouse here. And I'd say it's a deserved 2-0 here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the first match they showed us they just need an inch and take the whole map, take over the whole map. That was very well played. And what I saw as a big difference during the whole series was that My Insanity Madhouse knew where, on which characters they wanna allocate their gold. It was always Laggily and Golden God getting all the farm, taking all that gold, taking also the platings if possible. And if we looked at the farm score, Flane's carries were just falling behind the longer the game went. And in the second game, you also saw how My Insanity was able to get back. I mean, they were behind a little bit, but got to a mid game more or less even, and then they just out team fighted them with the, in my opinion, superior draft, as I
Yeah, and
already
I
said
mean,
pretty
yeah,
early
as
on.
you already summed it up perfectly. Basically, it was just super clean here. They also managed to shut them down super well. Even after that, Irelia went like 3-0 in the beginning of the game. They just managed to stabilize it and just kept on farming. And I feel like Flame, they oftentimes resorted to kind of the see hero kill hero play style, where you just like throw 4 members into one lane and then try to take someone down and then try to run the rest down, and don't care a single bit about your wave states. And at that point, My Insanity just punished them super well. They disengaged. They disengaged greatly. I have to give big props here, in my opinion, to Huffy. I mean, times and times again, he got some good aggressive engages, but especially his defensive play was just great. Just shutting down these attempts from Flame in getting access to Golden God and protecting his team. He did super well in that, in both of the games actually.
Yeah, and I mean, he came into this series deathless, but he wasn't scared to give up his life to save his AD carry's life. Even if it didn't work out, he did a really great job peeling for Golden God, and it was worth it.
I don't hear you anymore. Okay, it looks like. Oh no, you're still here. I already thought. That, okay, yeah, you're back. I already
I'm
thought
back?
it was
Am
you
I
then.
back?
That's like when you hear your
Okay,
TeamSpeak,
okay.
a user in your channel disconnected, and you don't hear your co-caster anymore. That's like the side like, okay, are you gone? But no, we still have you here, and yeah. It was quite a slaughter here coming out from MYI Madhouse. Second game looked a lot better there, especially in the early game. But yeah, in the end, they managed to reign supreme. They played it cleaner. They drafted better, I'd say, especially in the second game clearly, and in the end, and managed to edge out the win pretty cleanly actually. Good priorities overall. I also feel like 7 Army, he always was like in the right places and he didn't really like overstep. He just was always looking and threatening his engages. Golden God was really well protected and dished out like ton of damage, and then also some really nice shockwaves out of Lagerly that managed to chunk Garp quite a bit and denying his flanks, which I really liked because it like they had the idea to like get the squishy Malphite, ult him in with like the set and go for a wombo combo themselves, but in the end the coordination was kind of lacking, I felt, and they go down here 2-0.
But something that you mentioned that I want to focus on also for the next showing of my Insanity Madhouse is that that uh, Seven Army
Yeah.
got behind in both games in the early game compared to Hatred in the jungle. So I'm interested if we are gonna see in the next series they are playing if that can be punished.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
If Seven Army is playing
We don't
again.
know which of their two junglers they will bring to the table, but it's also important, of course, for other teams to see where possible weaknesses are. And yeah, I mean, they didn't really manage to do that. I mean, especially in this case, they had an enemy jungler that was behind. They had Unleash being up 3-0 essentially, and luckily just trying to catch up. But they didn't really punish. I mean, Trundle did well invading the early blue buff and also set him behind with that play. But then they just didn't really follow. And with those new respawn timers that were introduced with season 10, if you want to like target the enemy jungler, you have to do it as a team, and you have to do it over and over and over. So you really want mid lane, push out the mid lane, threaten that Orianna over and over. Try to push in the bot lane as well, and then just rotate into the enemy jungler. Take everything away. Go for those deep vision plays. Take more dragons essentially, and don't just look up for straight up 5v5 team fights against like a Malphite coming in from the sides with his teleport. Keep him in the side wave against a set where he's struggling, and try to take it from there. But I hope they can, not this season, but hopefully in season 4 come back here and hopefully improve. But for my Insanity Madhouse, their journey will continue into the semi-finals that will start actually 1 week from now already, on Thursday and Friday, and they will face off against tomorrow's winner, where Silent Gaming will be facing off against Fragbox Gaming, and that's also gonna be a super intense matchup there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super stoked to see them more tomorrow. I'm super happy that we can get this fast pace every evening nearly. We see another matchup where two teams compete, and we can bring up the bracket once again so you can see what action will await you. In a moment, yeah, there it is. Tomorrow we will see Silent Gaming going up against Fragbox Gaming. Then we have on Monday Lausanne Esport versus Scythe of Seraph, and then on Tuesday we have Arctic Gaming against Recast Gaming, and we have just 1 day pause then after that,
Yeah, and
before we
I
start
just
into the
personally
semifinals.
think we have a really great roster of teams here coming into this season 3. I mean, we have kind of like the old guard, like My Insanity, Flame being kind of a new team, Silent Gaming, of course, having quite a long history with a new roster right now. Then Fragbox, one of our French-speaking teams, as well as Lausanne, who are going to be representing the French part here. Scythe of Seraph, we're going to struggle with that all the time. So, but they're also a new team here that I'm personally super glad that they actually made it this far and seem to be performing this well as a new team.
I hope we can just take
Yes.
their short
Yeah,
form and just call them
that's just
SOS.
perfect.
I like that way more.
And then Arctic Gaming, of course, also being a staple here in the Swiss scene against Recast Gaming, who's also one of the new organizations. I think they have they used to call it Equilitas. I don't know if it's still the same organization, but the players look more or less the same there. But with that, we actually look at quite a bit of action. Excuse me. Thank you. See, that's
Bless you.
the disadvantage of not being in the studio. You can't just press the sneaky mute button underneath the table, and then go for the sneeze. Oh, now I have to disinfect my hands.
So, I think we can show you another cool future, and that is namely
Yes.
is the highlights of this series. So I hope you enjoy it, and we can
Yeah,
maybe
see you
discuss
next.
a
See you
little bit
tomorrow,
more
not
what
next
we
week.
saw.
And enjoy our little highlight. Okay. So we actually just first have a look at the highlight reels. So let's go and off the movie. Okay.
Well, we seem to have a little problem with the highlights, but they are getting set up right now, so we can talk a little bit more, maybe what we can expect tomorrow. What do you think we can see tomorrow with
I got to
Silent
say,
Gaming
on
versus
in terms of
Fragbox?
Fragbox, they look like they have a quite a strong roster here. I'll actually pull it up real quickly here. There we go. They still have quite a few experienced players here, and they look rather stacked here with basically everyone being Diamond 2 and above, and even 2 Grandmaster players here who are looking really, really strong. So it's not going to be an easy task here for Silent Gaming. Who was like a bit of a rookie story. They came in as an academy team and then advanced to the main team. But now we're actually ready with the highlights, so let's kick it off here.
Yeah, that is the first blood picked up in the first game, traded back from Punchy, but that was still the scrappy phase of the game. Then another 3v3 bot lane, which was, I think, also pretty
Your
close.
hatred.
We saw Hatred pick up a kill,
Power of
but that
Conqueror
was, I
there.
think, the only kill happening. Ah, no, there was still a second kill going down. Here it looked pretty promising for Flame, but this is where
It's just again
where it's
Huffy
fell doomed
here
for
with
them.
like the MVP
Very well
plays
played.
coming out. I mean, after that previous highlight, it's just basically like, okay, oh my gosh. Oh, 4 HP. That would have been such a highlight there. If that actually went over to Flame, they might have still a chance here. But look at this. Oh, this twisted at once also was absolutely disgusting. And then again, Huffy, he was just all over the place with his Rakan. I mean, when you saw that second highlight, that's usually the point where you go, okay, yeah, bot lane is over. Let's go next. But 7 Army and Heavy actually managed to stave that bleeding super well. And after that, it was just like, okay, Golden God's ahead now. Just rotate it through all the map, get ahead, play cleanly, go for vision, take Baron, and then end it with that. And yeah, here we see the second game now. Nice first blood there taken onto Luckily, and then here a nice sandwich where Huffy essentially sacrificed himself there, but Golden God, he's going down nevertheless, and then.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
here
yeah,
he
true.
tried to sacrifice
True,
himself, but didn't die.
And then here, oh, that was so close.
Look how much HP
See?
did he have. I
That-
mean, look at that health
That
bar.
is the
There
Orianna
was
buff right
nothing
there.
left.
That's a 10.8 Orianna buff, because that was about 12 HP or so. And yeah, she just got buffed on her E. And then this here, the Baron fight where nobody died actually. Although this was like the perfect engage, but no follow-up whatsoever. But then they came in. Yeah.
I mean, it was a little bit
That's
delayed,
true,
but Huffy
that's true.
found a very good follow-up there. And then, I mean, Irelia finds a good ulti here, but a good Vanguard's edge, but
That's
I
kinda
mean,
harsh.
she can't tank 5 enemies, so
And then
nothing she
game's
can
just
do.
over at this point.
And yeah. Oh, I didn't see there that
Managed to get
Punchy
like
sniped
an
Huffy,
honorary kill.
but I mean, it didn't really matter.
Punchy desperately trying to clear out the wave. And
Yeah.
this was just it's just sneaking the queue there around the minions, and that also sealed the deal for the second game here. So overall, quite a decent start here for Season 3 here in the Swisscom Hero League powered by ESL, although that were two rather quick games, so hopefully we'll get some more intense action tomorrow and maybe some more even games as well. And as a quick reminder, I mean, whoever takes the win tomorrow will be facing off against today's winner. That has been my Insanity Madhouse. Yeah, and I think that already was it from us. Any final words from your colorful side?
No, I mean, we saw good League of Legends to this evening, and we can come back tomorrow with even more League of Legends. So my caster heart is super happy. I'm happy to leave it at that this evening, and to see what.
Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. Make sure you come back tomorrow, on Monday, on Tuesday, on Thursday, and on Friday, until we have concluded all of our matches here and know who our Season 3 finalists will be. Until then, wash your hands, stay happy, stay healthy, and see you tomorrow.
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Wir arbeiten schon viel. Und das darf auch sein. Gehört halt auch dazu. Aber die Technik schafft heute auch viel. Immer mehr sogar. Die Luftfeuchtigkeit passt. Die Stauatmosphäre stimmt. Und wenn die Technik immer mehr schafft, könnten wir ja zwischendurch ein Kehr weniger krampfen. Oder etwa nicht.
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
body to the sound of the tuba.